Clap it up. Shalom, Yahweh Shem Yeshua. Shalom, Yahweh Shem Alatham Bashim Yahweh. To his brothers and sisters, this is DC Monday Law History class. I'm preaching officer Nakamaya. We will go into the history of the Bible. Mondays is history. Monday is the day of history for DC. We're gonna pick back up. We've been going through the chapter of. We're going through First Maccabees and going through that chapter. So far, we read how Maccabees was a brother, and during that time, the Romans the Greeks were taking over Israel, conquering Israel, taking all of our things out of our altar, the menorah, all of our holy things, all of our beautiful gold and gold and silver ornaments that were in our temple, and then they would place false gods and stone gods into our temple and try to make us worship their gods, and that's how they made the temples an abomination. They also would get us to eat swine's flesh. They would make sure that we were doing it. They would check our city monthly to make sure we were doing it, and if we did not do it, they would kill us. Also, the Greeks were so disgusting, they would make sure that we fully stop following the Most High laws. So it's our law that we would circumcise our son on the 8th day. They would make sure our sons were uncircumcised. If they were circumcised, those children, that infant was killed in the streets. So Maccabees had fought wars. He had passed away. His son Judas had rose up in his stead, and now he's continuing the fight of fighting the nations and not turning and not bowing out to them and them not giving up their laws of the old. All right. So let's pick back up. We'll start at chapter 3. All right.
Chapter 3. Kind.
First Maccabees chapter 3.
So I'm just trying to get it so that the people at the
You take time.
online can follow along.
If there's anybody that's online that got any questions, feel free to ask. All right.
Starting at verse 1, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Kind. First Maccabees chapter 3 and verse 1. Then his son Judas, called Maccabees, rose up in his stead.
Right. So now this is Maccabees, who was a great warrior. He passed away, and now of course of the good son Judas rose up in his stead to continue to fight. The fight was to keep the laws of the Most High. These brothers was on a run and had to worship the Most High and do prayers and everything in the wilderness because King Antiochus and all other conquerors were trying to fight, were trying to kill all Israelites or force Israelites to now drop their laws and now pick up heathen laws. So now for them to eat pork, for them now to eat pork, eat swine's flesh and all other abominable things. Go ahead.
Kind. Verse 2. And all his brethren helped him, and so did they that helped with his father, and they fought with cheerfulness in the battle of Israel.
Mm-hmm.
So he got his people great honor, and put on breastplates as a giant, and girded his warlike harness about him, and he made battles, protecting the host with his sword.
Right.
And his axe, he was like a lion, and like a lion's whelp, roaring for his prey. For he pursued the wicked and sought them about, and burnt up those that vexed his people.
Right. So anybody that vexes people anybody came to Israelites or came to Israel and tried to get them to stop following the Most High laws, he would kill them. He would deal with them. Go ahead.
Kind. Verse 6. Wherefore the wicked shrunk for fear of him.
Right, and the wicked shrunk for the fear of them, man. Just remember that with all this wickedness going on, the Lord will be with you, and your enemies will bow, or your enemies will learn their lesson and learn to lead you along. You get what I'm saying? Anybody, you know what I'm saying? Everybody know about, Captain Mashak, Captain Tazariak, when they battle these, the conscious community will battle these different people, so other people are watching. So other religion, other groups are watching, and they know, okay, well, we see this person get crushed in a debate, or this person is crushed in knowledge, and they make them stand back. It may, so they'll drop whatever they believe in, and the Lord allow, so they join the truth. You know what I'm saying? So it's the same thing back then, but back then it was physical. You know what I'm saying? Our enemies would be killed, and our other enemies would hear about it, and they wouldn't even think about it. They say, you know what? Nah, I'm not going to mess with them. Surely the Lord must be with these brothers. Must be with them Israelites. Go ahead.
Okay. Continue on with verse 6. And all the workers of iniquity were troubled, because salvation prospered in his hand.
Right.
Verse 7. He grieved also many kings, and made Jacob glad with his acts, and his memorial is blessed forever.
Right, man. He made all his people happy, man, and made his oppressor upset, sad, angry, and afraid, because there was nothing they could do. Go ahead.
Okay. Verse 8. Moreover, he went through the cities of Judah, destroying the ungodly out of them, and turning away wrath from Israel, so that he was renowned unto the utmost part of the earth, and he received unto him such as were ready to perish.
Right, man. Turn away wicked. That's what we got to do. We got to turn away the wicked from us. What is that? What is turning away the wrath? Turning away the wrath is turning away the Most High's anger. Right now, if you want to know why the Lord, if we're being killed by the cops innocently, getting no justice. So most cops are not getting indicted. Now we have a few that just getting indicted. If you want to know why we suffer from drugs, and we're number one to suffer from AIDS and HIV, and all the things that black people suffer, and why we're at the bottom of the list and in poverty and just full out slaves, you know what I'm saying? It's full out, don't have any rights. It's because the Lord's wrath is against us. And if you want to fight, and this brother here is fighting to turn the wrath against his people. If you want to fight to turn the wrath against yourself and against your people, what you got to do is fight. What you got to do is follow the Most High and fight against wickedness. How do you do that? You come to the school and you'll learn how to battle against any false philosophy or doctrine that have been harming our people and lying to our people. You'll learn how to stand up and fight against all wickedness, and you'll become renowned like the men in the UPK are. Go ahead.
Come. Verse 10. Then Apollonius gathered the Gentiles together, and a great host out of Samaria, to fight against Israel. Which thing when Judas perceived, he went forth to meet him, and he smote him and slew him. Many also fell down slain, but the rest fled.
Hold on, one second.
Come.
Hello? Okay. You go ahead.
Come. Verse 11. It's like at verse 12. Wherefore Judas took their spoils, and Apollonius' sword also, and therewith he fought all his life long. Verse 13. Now when Seron, a prince out of the army of Syria, heard that Judas had gathered unto him a multitude and company of the faithful to go out with him to war, he said, I will get me a name and honor in the kingdom, for I will go fight with Judas and them that are with him, who despise the king's commandment. Verse 15. So he made him ready to go up, and there went with him a mighty host of the ungodly to help him, and to be avenged of the children of Israel. And when he came near to go up to Betharon, Judas went forth to meet him with a small company. Verse 17. Who, when they saw the host coming to meet them, said unto Judas, How shall we be able, being so few, to fight against so great a multitude and so strong, seeing we are ready to faint with fasting all this day?
Right. So this prince here, he was when Saran, he was weak in faith. Meaning, and why was he weak in faith? Go ahead. Why was he weak in faith?
Because he's trying to come up against Judas, and he's trying to please the oppressor, and he thinks he's eventually going to lose, and then all of Israel is going to suffer.
No, he came to fight with Judas, but he thought Judas would have a bigger army. That's what's going on right here. Or he's fighting. He's trying to gain. Because he don't. It's in here. Now when Saran, the prince of the army of Syria, heard say that Judas had gathered unto him a multitude in the army of the faithful to go out to war, he said, I will get me a name and honor in the kingdom, and I will go fight with Judas and them. So he's fighting with them because he himself is against the king's commandments. Like, he don't want to follow the king's commandments.
Right.
So now he's weak in faith because he would go join forces with Judas, but Judas came with a small army. Imagine, I guess in the Navy they have like Black Ops, but the Black Ops is like a small, trained, the best soldiers, but they're like a few, right?
It's like special forces.
Special forces there, but it's very few, but they're very talented. They're the best men. So here comes Judas with a small army. He's like, man, you don't have no numbers. How the hell are we going to fight this big army? That's why he's weak in faith. He's weak in faith because he's counting, and the culture of the Most High and the Israelites. The Most High always wanted to show Israel, I'll take a few of you to conquer many.
Right.
I never want y'all to go to war, 2,000 Israelites versus few or 1,000 heathens, because then you'll think that you won the war when really I'm the one who helped you, when I'm the one who controls the war and control life. Go ahead. You go to continue to read.
Khan. Verse 18. Unto whom Judas answered, It is no hard matter for many to be shut up in the hands of a few, and with God of heaven it is all one to deliver with a great multitude or a small company.
Right, it don't matter. As long as the Most High is who's in control, so it don't matter if it's a small few or a big multitude. Go ahead. That's what Saran didn't know. Go ahead.
Khan, verse 19. For the victory of battle standeth not in the multitude of an host, but strength cometh from heaven. Right, but strength cometh from heaven, meaning, this is controlled by the Most High. Go ahead. Khan, verse 20. They come against us in much pride and iniquity to destroy us, and our wives and children, and to spoil us. But we fight for our lives and our laws. Wherefore the Lord himself will overthrow them before our face. And as for you, be ye not afraid of them. Verse 23. Now as soon as he had left off speaking, he leapt suddenly upon them, and so Saran and his host was overthrown before him. And they pursued them from the going down of Betharon unto the plain, where were slain about 800 men of them, and the residue fled into the land of the Philistines. Then began the fear of Judas and his brethren, and an exceeding great dread to fall upon the nations round about them.
Right. So just imagine, Judas, he going around crushing and destroying everything and all, whoever comes up against him, and slowly, taking back land and receiving back things that were stolen from us. And now, his name, he's making a name. Just like how brother last time brought up Mike Tyson or any brother, what I'm saying, how he become well renowned around the world. And that's why, the oppressor, he's afraid of us. You know what I'm saying? Because so you have like Black Wall Street and different eras and different times when black people always just coming together, ain't not bothering nobody, not planning to fight against anybody, but just trying to build a black economy or just trying to have a safe community.
Right.
And then here comes some afraid oppressors, thinking like, oh, they're gonna try to rise up against us one day or whatever, paranoia they have. You get what I'm saying? So it's the same thing here, but this, but in this time, this Judas, he is gonna, rise up against it. And so this paranoia going all through these heathens' minds and fear going all through their mind and all through their body and in their spirit. It's driven by the Most High through Judas. Go ahead.
Khan. Verse 26. Insomuch as his fame came unto the king, and all nations talked of the battles of Judas, now when King Antiochus heard these things, he was full of indignation.
Right, now you got a king that hear about it, and he's full of indignation. He's afraid, he's mad, he's pissed. It's just like, any king, like, today, like you got Vladimir Putin, you got Joe Biden, you got Kim Jong-un. Imagine they hear about some black man who's just untouchable and destroying all the armies. And they like, and now his name is coming up to, their front desk. And as arrogant as they are, they get pissed off because they hear about some black man who's not winning, not taking any L's. So that's what's going on right now. Go ahead.
Come on. Wherefore he sent and gathered together all the forces of his realm, even a very strong army. He opened also his treasures and gave his soldiers pay for a year, commanding them to be ready whensoever he should need them. Right.
So now he gathered a big army and a big multitude. He paid them off for a year. He paid them off in a year and all that for a year. And he was like, man, y'all be ready. He thought he was he was so rich that he could just pay some soldiers to be on standby and be ready when he says so for battle. Go ahead.
Come on. Verse 29. Nevertheless, when he saw that the money of his treasures failed, and that the tributes in the country were small because of the dissension and plague which he had brought upon the land, and taken away the laws which had been of old time.
Right. So now he's trying to pay all the soldiers off for a year. He's coming up short because what he did in the land, the way he would get money, he would collect contribution and tribute. He would collect tribute from all the lands that were under him. But when the word when he calls decision, that word's from discord. So when he go through this land, you got some people who you got some people who were sided with him. You got some people who would leave him and did not want to follow. You got some Israelites and some people who just didn't want to follow his laws. So a lot of people were not contributors, not giving him tribute. The tribute slowed down, or a lot of people were being killed because the tribute slowed down. Because now all the people you're killing, nobody's going to pay you now because they're all dead now. The plague that you brought in, the plague they brought onto the land, the plague was though now a lot of people aren't following the laws. The land is desolate. You got people eating. The Lord just cursed the land. No food growing, or the land is burnt because you didn't burn the whole city down or burnt towns down. You're a reckless, disgusting king. You're a reckless king, and he didn't have any order. So now he's seeing the reward of his actions, which is a plague, desolate land, food not growing, food not springing up, probably cattle and everything probably dead from his stupid orders he gave his foot soldiers the people who were supposed to be paying, you killing a lot of them, or they're running from you to the wilderness. So there's nobody in that land to pay you anything, or few people to pay you to fill your pockets for the big thing you're trying to do. The big thing he was trying to do was pay thousands of soldiers, pay them all for a whole year, get them enough money for a whole year's payment up front, or like pay them for that year. And he thought he could be the big boss and do it, but nah. The Lord showed him, like, because of what you did, no, you're not gonna have, you don't have that much money as you thought you did. Go ahead.
Verse 30. He feared that he should not be able to bear the charges any longer, nor to have such gifts to give so liberally as he did before. For he had abound above the kings that were before him. Wherefore, being greatly perplexed in his mind, he determined to go into Persia, there to take the tributes of the countries and to gather much money.
Right. So now he figured out. So now, in fear. Let me see. Right. So he feared that he wouldn't have enough money. He feared that he would have. Go ahead. He feared that he would not have enough money to pay his soldiers for that year, or to seem, he would no longer have that glory he had, which was the glory was, he was a rich conqueror, he was a rich king, and he used to be able to give gifts and give people to bow down to him. He said, you bow down to me and follow my laws and leave your religion, you'll be a very rich man. There was a lot of ways they would pay off influential people. They would just pay them off. Just like today, you got blacks and Latinos who are paid off by the oppressor. So they give them a certain amount of money to now influence black people to follow America, to follow their laws, to accept homosexuality, to accept homosexuality, to accept, drug culture. Rappers are being paid off to, now rapping about Xanax and pills, whereas all those things were mostly drugs or things that white people do. Take all them pills and all them Oxycontins and all that. That was white man's thing. But now, rappers are getting paid to rap about those things. So that's usually what an evil king would do. Evil king will kill everybody, conquer everybody, collect all the riches in all the towns, take all the spoils, and give gifts and pay people to influence other people or to influence their people to follow his evil ways. But now he's running out of money because he killed off the people who would give off tribute, or he caused plague in the land where there's no food or there's a shortage of land and livestock. All right. So now he's going to go to Persia and those countries to now collect. Now he got to go down to Persia and collect money from there. Go ahead. We're picking up at
verse 32, sir.
First Maccabees chapter 2, verse 32.
2.
Mm-hmm.
Chapter 3, 32.
SHALAM. You said chapter 2 or 3? 3. Oh, you know what? I missed first. SHALAM. Thought I was there.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, pick up for me.
So he left Lysias, a nobleman and one of the blood royal, to oversee the affairs of the king from the river Euphrates unto the border of Egypt.
Right. So while he left to go pick up money because he was going broke because of his stupid, foolish mistakes, he left Lysias and a nobleman and a blood royal, somebody who I guess who was related to him or next an heir to oversee the land that he left, which was Euphrates into the border of Egypt. Go ahead, read on.
And to bring up his son Antiochus until he came again. Mm-hmm. Moreover, he delivered unto him the half of his forces and the elephants, and gave him charge of all things that he would have done, and also concerning them that dwelt in Judah and Jerusalem. Verse 35, to wit, that he should send an army against them to destroy and root out the strength of Israel and the remnant of Jerusalem, and to take away their memorial from that place, and that he should place strangers in all their quarters and divide their land by lot. So the king took the half of the forces that remained and departed from Antioch.
And it's crazy because you see how an enemy knows how to divide a people. An enemy knows to go to war with the people, and also a part. You take their culture, take things from them, and also once again, the gentrification. It says to place strangers in all their quarters and divide their land. Whereas you have a city that's mostly black or a place that's mostly black, and strategically, the oppressor will gentrify that land.
Right.
The oppressor will find some way to sell some land. Maybe you don't own it, or maybe if you do own it, he'll continually every month, every week send you letters paying you some kind of money to sell your land, to sell your house. And now all of a sudden, a place that was mostly black is now mixed or becoming mostly majority Caucasian now. You know what I'm saying? That is war strategy. It goes on today in America.
Right.
And it was happening back then in the time of the Greeks. This is crazy, man. Gentrification is now, I'm now taking that on as a way of warfare against black people. The drug war, obvious. The cops killing innocent black people, that's obvious. A lot of things are obvious. The gentrification, we see it's obvious. We see it's something that's going on, but we don't see it as a war tactic,
right,
or a strategic way. That's war. That's war against black people now. I'm counting as war against black people. Go ahead.
Khan.
You can go ahead.
At the top of 37. So the king took half of the forces that remained and departed from Antioch, his royal city, the 144th and 7th year. And having passed the river Euphrates, he went through the high countries. Then Lysias chose Ptolemy, the king of Doromenes, Nicanor, and Gorgias, mighty men of the king's friends. And with them he sent 40,000 footmen and 7,000 horsemen to go into the land of Judah and to destroy it as the king commanded. So they went forth with all their power and came and pitched by Emmaus in the plain country. And the merchants of the country, hearing the fame of them, took silver and gold very much with servants, and came into the camp to buy the children of Israel for slaves. A power also of Syria and of the land of the Philistines joined themselves unto them. Mm-hmm. Verse 42. Now when Judas and his brethren saw that miseries were multiplied, and that the forces did encamp themselves in their borders, for they knew how the king had given commandments to destroy the people and utterly abolish them, they said one to another, let us restore the decayed fortune of our people, and let us fight for our people and the sanctuary.
So let us restore the decayed estate, or is it fortune? What says that fortune?
The fortune. It says on here. It says fortune. So let me.
Mm-hmm.
It does say estate.
Right, no, it's just what he was reading
of our people. Might
be no
different.
Yeah, I have it on here as a state, and I have it on here as fortune.
Okay. Yeah, you can go read it from the phone.
Common concert.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 43. They said one to another, let us restore the decayed estate of our people, and let us fight for our people and the sanctuary.
Right, and that's what we got to do. Like, you know what I'm saying? The more we turn our zeal up, and the more that we think about it, around us right now, you know, so the state of our people is down. You know what I'm saying? More and more we want to become, you know, this is for myself and for everybody, just we all become less selfish. And really, we see this state. And we got to make sure that we're doing the work of the Most High. If we feel like, if you know we can do more or you can do more, you know what I'm saying? The Lord will be with us. The Lord will be with you. Go ahead and let's heal the state and change the state of our people. And that's what these brothers seeing right here. They seeing the state. They seeing their people being bought as slaves. And, you know what I'm saying? They see that the forces are, you know, the forces of the forces of the enemy is coming in and trying to really abolish them and destroy them. But they decided to fight back. Go ahead, quickly. Go ahead.
Shalom.
Mm-hmm.
I was listening before I got here, and just picking up from last time when we left off, this whole chapter right here, it just seems like America just read this book and decided we're going to do everything in this book that those former kings did, and we're going to destroy it.
Yeah, that's what a lot of them do. A lot of them just read the history. You know what I'm saying? Like America, they read the history of Greeks and Romans and Egypt. They know the history of Egypt. They know the history of a lot of oppressors, and they just take it. That's why they got that's why they got the obelisk, the monument.
Uh-huh.
You know what I'm saying? They got the pyramid on their money. You know what I'm saying? Because Egypt was well known of having the Israelites as slaves, and the Romans. You know what I'm saying? The Romans did it. You know, so they just picking up from, you know, some previous oppressor, and they know, you know what I'm saying, who the slaves are. They know who to keep in slaves. You know what I'm saying? They know who the Israelites are. Go ahead.
Khan. Verse 44. Then was the congregation gathered together that they might be ready for battle, and that they might pray and ask mercy and compassion. 45. Now Jerusalem lay void as a wilderness. There was none of her children that went in or out. The sanctuary also was trodden down, and aliens kept the stronghold. The heathen had their habitation in that place, and joy was taken from Jacob.
What verse you at?
45.
Mm-hmm.
The heathen had their habitation in that place, and joy was taken from Jacob, and the pipe with the harp ceased. 46. Wherefore the Israelites assembled themselves together and came to Maspha over against Jerusalem, for in Maspha was the place where they prayed aforetime in Israel. 47. Then they fasted that day and put on sackcloth and cast ashes upon their heads and rent their clothes, and laid open the book of the law, wherein the heathen had sought to paint the likeness of their images. They brought also the priests' garments and the first fruits and the tithes, and the Nazarites they stirred up, who had accomplished their days. Then cried they with a loud voice toward heaven, saying, What shall we do with these? And whither shall we carry them away? For thy sanctuary is trodden down and profaned, and thy priests are in heaviness and brought low. And lo, the heathen are assembled together against us to destroy us. What things they imagine against us, thou knowest. How shall we be able to stand against them, except thou, O God, be our help?
Right. And that's always a question. Like that's what they knew. A lot of battles that we have, we try to face on our own. But these brothers and sisters knew they could not win any battles without the Most High. That's what they knew, and that's what we gotta know. Yeah, so we gotta pray to the Most High. We gotta fast and all that, and really acknowledge the Most High. Really, we gotta anoint the Most High with our prayers. That's believe in the scriptures, like as far as like crying to Him. Gotta cry to the Most High, and really, because He's the only way. You know what I'm saying? To fight against hell, fight against oppression, or to wake our people up and to win battles. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
Verse 54. Then sounded they with trumpets and cried with a loud voice. And after this, Judas ordained captains over the people, even captains over thousands and over hundreds and over 50s and over 10s.
Right. He go Judas. Judas, he's making ranks. He says he's making captains over thousands and over hundreds and over 50s and over 10s. You know what I'm saying? UPK, you know what I'm saying? One West, and I.S.U.P.K, we one West, and we keep it one West. You know what I'm saying? We keep it strictly the Bible. Anybody else, if you know what I'm saying, people who hate rank and hate, it's because you hate order. You know what I'm saying? You hate order and you're afraid of accountability and responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
But here we full on take on accountability and responsibility for all blacks, Latino, and American Indians, man. Go ahead. Go ahead, huh?
It's like, if I may, like a man that's over top of you is the closest thing to you, you know, like to the Most High, you know, say Yahweh the King, and then, you know, then Yahweh. But a man that's standing right in front of you that's appointed and anointed, if you can't follow his orders, what makes you think you can do everything the Lord wants you to do?
Right, you're right. You're totally right, brother. That's why you know what I'm saying. You got prophets. You know, there's been prophets. There's always prophets and priests who always, you know, taught the people and led the people. And the Most High always use those select brothers. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
Khan. Verse 56. But as for such as were building houses, or had betrothed wives, or were planted vineyards, or were fearful, those he commanded that they should return, every man to his own house according to the law.
Right. He said, but those who had betrothed wives, who were planted vineyards and were fearful. You know what I'm saying? Like if you fearful, like you said, I always say to UPK, you know what I'm saying? This job ain't for everybody. You can be a supporter. You know what I'm saying? You can still follow the laws, but you don't have to be a soldier. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not, this lifestyle not fit for everybody. So the people who were fearful, he sent them back home. The people who were, planted vineyards, he let them go and planted vineyards. The people who just got wives, it was a law in the Bible when a brother had just got a wife that he'll stay. I believe he stayed with her for a year. That's in the scriptures. That's a law. Shalom, baby. So, you know, when that brother first got married, it's in the law that he stayed with that woman for a year and he did not go out the back. So that's why the brother's doing that then. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Salaki, is it more of a reason behind that so like he could be fruitful within that time, or?
I mean, within that year, Lord allow give her a child. You know what I'm saying? He just got a wife. You know what I'm saying? She ain't. You know what I'm saying? The marriage chamber will be cold.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? Gotta be warm. You know what I'm saying? She ain't he or she didn't get to have sex with each other and lay down with each other, spend time with each other. So they were granted that 1 year of no battle once their brother had got a new wife.
Oh, God.
You know what I'm saying? But after that year, Lord allowed, within that time, like he's saying, to be fruitful and also, you know what I'm saying, just to have that time with each other. Go ahead.
Come on, Khan.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Verse 57. So the camp removed and pitched upon the south side of Emmaus. Mm-hmm. And Judas said, arm yourselves and be valiant men, and see that ye be in readiness against the morning, that ye may fight with these nations that are assembled together against us, to destroy us and our sanctuary. For it is better for us to die in battle than to behold the calamities of our people and our sanctuary. Nevertheless, as the will of God is in heaven, so let him do.
Right. You know what I'm saying? That's hardcore. Hardcore. You're going to fight a huge army. And you're saying, look, we fight, you know what I'm saying? It's better that we, die fighting than rather, stand there and we get killed and our sanctuary get taken. Let's fight for it. You know what I'm saying? And then at the end, he said, let the Lord's will be done. And we already know it's up to the Most High. So Lord allowed, you know what I'm saying? It be, whatever his will is, it'll be done. Let it be done. Go ahead. That's hardcore. Go ahead.
Khan. First Maccabees chapter 4, verse 1.
Mm-hmm.
Then took Gorgias 5,000 footmen and 1,000 of the best horsemen, and removed out of the camp by night, to the end he might rush in upon the camp of the Jews and smite them suddenly. And the men of the fortress were his guides. Now when Judas heard thereof, he himself removed, and the valiant men with him, that he might smite the king's army, which is at Emmaus.
Right.
While as yet the forces were dispersed from the camp. In the mean season came Gorgias by night into the camp of Judas.
Right. So he's trying to sneak. He tried to catch him at night, catch him while he was sleeping, but he didn't. Go ahead.
And when he found no man there, he sought them in the mountains. For he said, these fellows flee from us. But as soon as it was day, Judas showed himself in the plain with 3,000 men, who nevertheless had neither armor nor swords to their minds. And they saw the camp of the heathen, that it was strong and well harnessed, and compassed round about with horsemen, and these were experts of war. Then said Judas to the men that were with him, fear ye not their multitude, nevertheless be ye afraid of their assault. Remember how our fathers were delivered in the Red Sea, when Pharaoh pursued them with an army.
Right, and it's all just keeping the faith of the Most High. So they had no, sword to protect themselves, but then you surrounded by a well-equipped army, and you got some experts and all that. But he said, look, the Lord saved us before. Remember when the Lord swallowed up the army in the Red Sea. Go ahead.
Verse 10. Now therefore let us cry unto heaven, if peradventure the Lord will have mercy upon us, and remember the covenant of our fathers, and destroy this host before our face this day, that so all the heathen may know that there is one who delivereth and saveth Israel. Then the strangers lift up their eyes and saw them coming over against them. Wherefore they went out of the camp to battle, but they that were with Judas sounded their trumpets. So they joined battle, and the heathen, being discomforted, fled into the plain.
Right, the heathen, they were well equipped. They seen them charging. They heard the sounds of them trumpets, and the sound of the trumpets made them tremble, and they ran away. You know what I'm saying? You never know what's going to happen to the last very minute. You'll learn that in the truth. Like, it'll be a lot of stuff. There'll be a lot of things going on that you're trying to get complete, or things or something you're trying to get done, and it seemed like, this thing that you're going to fail, whatever you're trying to do. Say if you're trying to, you got a bill coming up, and it's due tomorrow, and you were trying all week to ask people for money or try to find certain jobs, and you just couldn't find it. But you panicking. Most person will panic. Like, damn, tomorrow, I'm gonna get evicted, or my electricity is gonna fall off, or turn off, or anything, something like that, a bill, or anything in your life where it might have a due date, or anything, danger. Somebody could be breaking into your house, and you think that person's gonna walk up the steps and shoot you. You know what I'm saying? And then something might, within that last minute, something might happen. That burglar might hear a sound, or hear police sirens, or the thing with the electric bill, like you might finally get a payment last minute. Somebody might look out for you, might give you a call, like, oh, I have it, you need it? And you say, yes. And you're like, oh man, thank God. Like, that was bad. And just in the nick of time. Things will happen like that, and you still got to keep strong, all the way to the end. And this right here was a story about brothers sticking it out all the way to the end. You know what I'm saying? Whereas though they had no swords and they was going against an army that's well equipped, And you know what I'm saying, the brother Judas kept their faith strong, kept them strong, and was like, the Lord swallowed, destroyed the Egyptians in the Red Sea. Surely the Lord, let's see the Lord look out for us now, so let it be His will. And then got brothers that blew the trumpet for the sound of war, and the heathens got discomforted. They heard it. So the noise made them afraid. You know what I'm saying? So that's how He's got to be, even when things seem tough. I learned that in Passover. You know what I'm saying? There was certain things we got to get done for Passover that was not, and we were trying to make that source or that resource available for us, and that resource was not available until like the last day or last 2 days. It was like, Most High Christ was able to get it, but within the last 2 days to make the Passover be, rocking and rolling, and the Passover came out beautiful.
Right.
But like I said, y'all, there was a lot of things that wasn't available to us that we were trying to get for months. That was not available to the last couple of days, which is ridiculous. So we kept faith, kept fighting, kept going. Go ahead, continue to pick up for me.
15.
First Maccabees, chapter 4, verse 15. Howbeit, all that hindmost of them were slain with the sword.
Mm-hmm. So the ones they ran. So they ran, but the people who were in the they got caught. Like all of them running away, but the people that they caught up with were killed. That's what I mean. The hindmost, the back of the line, the hind.
Come.
Like your behind that's behind you.
Come.
Go ahead.
For they pursued them all to Gazara, and all to the plains of Idumea.
What verse you at?
Chapter 4, verse 15.
Mm-hmm.
Plains of Idumea and Azotus and Jamnia, so that there were slain of them upon the 3,000 men. Verse 16. This done, Judas returned again with his host from pursuing them.
Mm-hmm.
17, verse 17, and said to the people, be not greedy of the spoils, inasmuch as there is a battle before us.
Right. So, what I'm saying? So they killed them people, and the people, what that spoils, meaning whatever, the gold or food, lamb, stock, drink, whatever they got, whatever the people required. And he was, he was like, be not, the fight, the battle is not over. So don't get comfortable and try to take all these things and travel all these things. We still, so the battle is not over. Go ahead.
Verse 18. And Gorgias and his host are here by us in the mountain.
Right. He said, look, don't sleep. Look, we still got, we got Gorgias is right here in the mountain. We still, we're not done. Go ahead.
Come. But stand ye now against our enemies and overcome them. And after this, ye may take the spoils. Ye may boldly take the spoils.
Right. So don't take everything now. Don't worry about being too much into searching through the spoils and looking and picking out what you want. Leave those spoils alone for right now. We got to continue to fight, and then we'll take everything after. Go ahead.
Verse 19. And Judas was yet speaking these words. There appeared a part of them looking out of the mountain. 20. Verse 20. Who then they perceived that the Jews had put their host to flight and were burning the tents, for the smoke that was seen declared what was done.
Right. So, from the mountains, he's like, look, don't, the stuff you see right here in this camp, don't take everything out of their camp. And, we burned it, the Israelites, they burned them, the heathens' tents and wherever they encamped at, burned the tents, and it was good to take whatever they had in them tents, that's the spoils, whatever they had, food, drinks, whatever, weapons. And you're like, hold on before you take everything. Look, we got people, Gorgias is in the mountains. But now go get his army is in the mountains. They can see the smoke. They looking down and seeing like, okay, we see the, you know what I'm saying, we see the heathens that's supposed to be fighting with us. Their camp is on fire. You know what I'm saying? Their stuff is up in smoke. They're seeing the smoke. Go ahead.
Verse 21. When therefore they perceived these things, they were sore afraid.
Right. They see the smoke. They say, man, oh. They got afraid. They see them tents on fire. They see their whole camp smoking and on fire. Them tents on fire. They got afraid. So now the first 3,000 men, 3,000 heathens were afraid of the sound of the horns. Now these heathens are afraid of the smoke. Go ahead.
And seeing also the host of Judas in the plain, ready to fight. Verse 22. They fled every one into the land of strangers.
They said, "Oh hell no, nah, man. So we come to fight, and they already fought the other camp and burnt down and smoked them. And they see the smoke, like, nah, we gone. They start scattering into the land. They would go hide. Go ahead.
It's like so you saying they don't want the smoke?
They ain't want no smoke. They see the smoke and they ain't want it. They said, "Oh hell no." They done smoked them fools. We ain't trying to get smoked either. They said, nah. Go ahead.
Verse 23. Then Judas returned to spoil the tents, where they got much gold and silver.
Right. So now, since Judas was like, hold on, don't take any gold and silver yet. Hold on, so y'all got, because they're gonna, take all the spoils and try to travel with it.
Oh,
like, nah, we still got more to fight. We still got more people to fight. Look, they're over there in the mountains waiting for us. They see the smoke. Hell no, they run. So Judas see that. All right, they running from us. All right, now we can go and get the gold and silver. Go ahead.
And blue silk and purple of the sea, and great riches. Verse 24. After this, they went home and sung a song of thanksgiving and praised the Lord in heaven.
Right, they singing songs like, man, we just came up, Thanksgiving, thank God, thank the Most High. When they came up one of these years. You know what I'm saying? They praise the Most High. Go ahead.
Because it is good. Because his mercy endured forever.
Right. You know what I'm saying? They, appreciative and realize, who was in charge and who gave them success over the war, which is the Most High, which is all of our, all our success. When we gain new brothers and sisters in here, when we get a new school, when we, crush a debate, some whoever's trying to battle us in a debate, we crush it and we win it. It's not us, it's the Most High. The Most High deserves all that all the gratitude, all the praise.
Right.
Because he's the one who's gave us the mercy. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
Come. Verse 25. Thus Israel had a great deliverance that day. Verse 26. Now all the strangers that had escaped came and told Lysias what had happened. Verse 27. Who, when he heard thereof, was confounded and discouraged, because neither such things as he would were done unto Israel.
Right, so you discouraged. You're like, man, my men died. The men I had died, or these heathens died, and none of their men died, but they still all alive and kicking. So that would be discouraging. Like, oh, they stronger than what I thought. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, anything. Like you play football, basketball, who's a good team and who's a bad team. You know what I'm saying? If you see, you see this team beat this team, and you like, and then you got to play them next week. You're like, shh. You already discouraged. You're like, man, I'm not trying to play. Coach, I'm sick. Coach, I'm injured. I can't play. You ain't even trying to get that beaten. Or just like a fighter. You know what I'm saying? If you're a boxer or in martial art, and you hear the news about the top fighters, and you got to fight one of them top fighters, you're like, shit. Man, I'm not even trying to do that match, man. So he hearing it and he got discouraged. Go ahead.
Nor such things as the king commanded him work come to pass.
Right. The king and I believe the king knew this, man. The king, because it said, the king who was in charge left him in charge. Like, because the king, he seen that his pocket was getting low. He tried to pay off a lot of soldiers for a year and said, y'all just be on standby. They weren't even fighting. He just wanted them to be on standby. I'm going to pay y'all for the year just to be on standby, to be ready for war when I call y'all. To be ready. Be ready. When I call you, be ready. That soldier, that king, but he looked at his, the funds and seen that he didn't have the funds. So he so-called went to Persia to get more funds, but left Lysias in order, in charge while he was gone.
Okay.
And we're like, well, you go ahead and because he was supposed to do it himself, but he tried to get somebody else to fight against Israel while he went away to go get more money from Persia.
Okay.
Go ahead. And now Lysias, he's saying like, okay, well, the king gave me an order, and left, split his army here, put three of us in charge to go kill these Israelites, and it's not working. So something is up. Go ahead.
Come. Verse 28. The next year, therefore, following Lysias, gathered together 3,000 choice men of foot and 5,000 horsemen.
Right. So the choice men, the choice men, the men you choose is supposed to be the best, the top out of your army, out of your nation, out of your land. The choice men, these are, I'm gonna pick the best men to be on ground, to be on foot, to go to war. Go ahead.
That he might subdue them. Verse 29. So they came into Idumea and pitched their tents at Bethsor. Mm-hmm. And Judas met them with 10,000 men.
Right. Judas had 10,000 men. And Lysias, he had 3,000 men. You know what a score is?
20.
So what is 3 score?
60.
So he had 60,000 men, choice men. Not just 60,000 any men. Like like anybody goes to the army, but not all of them are good fighters.
Okay.
Some of them, you be seeing some people in the army, like, what? Why you been in the army? Or you see some people in the police force. And you be like, I know I can knock this cop out. So this is a weak cop. Why are you even? What can you do? What kind of service can you provide? Go ahead.
It's like you got special forces with them.
But yeah,
you got Green Raiders.
Right. So you got choice men. You're the best men. You got 60,000 choice men, not 60,000. Randoms. And now here comes Judas with 10,000, 50,000 less to meet him. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. And 5,000 horsemen.
Oh, and 5,000 horsemen. So you got 65,000 people with you. Go ahead. So that's 60,000 on feet and 5,000 on horses. Go ahead.
Verse 30. And when he saw that mighty army, he prayed and said, Blessed art thou, O Savior of Israel, who didst quell the violence of the mighty man by the hand of thy servant David, and gavest the host of strangers into the hands of Jonathan, the son of Saul, and his armor bearer.
Right. So you say, you know what I'm saying? He gave, once again, he's crying out to the Most High. It's 10,000 of them. He sees 60,000 on feet, 5,000 on the horses. He's like, ooh, they deep. He cried to the Most High, look, you gave us, you gave the, you did quote the violence of the mighty man by the hand of our servant David. Like you gave, strength to David in the hand of David when David killed all these people. He's looking forward to receive the same thing David received.
Come.
Go ahead.
It's like, if I could, just to give people a visual of how much 60,000 people is. That's a football stadium, because a basketball stadium probably can hold about 30 or 40,000, but a football stadium holds from 60,000 and up. So a football stadium like Ohio State filled filled with people, the stands filled with people, that's how much, is about 65,000.
Oh, come.
That's a lot. The brother said, a football stadium that's filled. You know what I'm saying? Football stadiums, he said they hold about 60,000 people versus 10,000, which is what, like a college.
That is college, but like,
no, it's a
like
college
a section.
basketball.
Concert, yeah.
10,000 people college, like college basketball arena or something, or stadium, not stadium, arena, something like that, court. Yeah. And so the brother, Judas is saying that, and he's praying to the Most High. The Most High blessed him like he blessed David in a war. Go ahead. 31.
Verse 31. Shut up this army in the hand of thy people Israel, and let them be confounded in their power and horsemen. Verse 32. Make them to be of no courage, and cause the boldness of their strength to fall away, and let them quake at their destruction. Verse 33. Cast them down with the sword of them that love thee, and let all those that know thy name praise thee with thanksgiving. Verse 34. So they joined battle, and there were slain of the host of Lysias about 5,000 men. Even before them were they slain. Verse 35. Now when Lysias saw his army put to flight, and the manliness of Judas's soldiers, and how they were ready either to live or die valiantly, he went into Antiochia. He went into Antiochia and gathered together a company of strangers, and having made his army greater than it was, he proposed to come again into Judah. Did I say that right?
Yeah, Judea.
No. Verse 36. Then said Judas and his brethren, behold, our enemies are discomfited. Let us go up to cleanse and dedicate the sanctuary. Verse 37. Upon this, verse 37. Upon this all the hosts assembled themselves together and went up into the Mount Zion. Verse 38. And when they saw the sanctuary desolate, and the altar profane, and the gates burnt up, and shrubs growing in the courts as in a forest, or in one of the mountains, yea, and the priests chambers pulled down. Verse 39. They rent their clothes and made great lamentation, and cast ashes upon their heads.
Right. So you know what I'm saying. Once they fought and killed those men, and they went to go give praise to the Most High and went to the sanctuary. So imagine, so we do that, and imagine, so this is our sanctuary. When you come, so a lot of this stuff is ruins, and there's now trees and bushes growing on here. A lot of this stuff is cracked. All the pictures and stuff is burned up in the school. It's trees and bushes and cicadas in here and bugs in here. It's just look crazy. All of the roots grew up through the floor. It's like, man, this school used to look good, but now it's destroyed.
Okay.
So it made those brothers, rent them clothes and put ashes on their head and they mourned. Go ahead for for Israel's beauty being destroyed.
So I make a quick question. We can eat cicadas, right? Locusts and cicadas.
Right.
Come.
Right.
It's like just
you like, bring some cicadas to class tomorrow?
Blah.
You going to bring some to eat?
Blah.
Go ahead.
It's like, so I don't think I'll be participating
okay.
in that. But just the fact that how the men of Israel act today versus when we were actual, when we knew who we were.
Mm-hmm.
Even these men who are valiant men who face war, who face incredible odds, when they came to something that wasn't good in their sight, they actually showed mournfulness. Like men, Israel now cannot, if you sad and you trying to talk to another brother that's not in the school or just not in the truth, they gonna clown you all day.
Certain brothers would. I mean, you'd be surprised at how emotional a lot of brothers actually are out there. They be wanting to give you a hug, actually. like a drug dealer out there, you would think he's tough, but really, he'll want to give you. He can be broken down. And drug dealers out there will want to give you a hug. A lot of them. I just want to cry. Go ahead.
Verse 40. And fell down flat to the ground upon their faces, and blew an alarm with the trumpets, and cried toward heaven. Verse 41. Then Judas appointed certain men to fight against those that were in the fortress, until he had cleansed the sanctuary. Verse 42. So he chose priests of blameless conversation, such as had pleasure in the law. Verse 43, who cleansed the sanctuary and bare out of the defiled stones into an unclean place. Verse 44, and when they had consulted what to do with the altar of burnt offerings, which was profane, verse 45, they thought it best to pull it down, lest it should be a reproach to them, because the heathen had defiled it. Wherefore they pulled it down. Verse 46, and laid up the stones in the mountain of the temple in a convenient place, until there should come a prophet to shew what should be done with them. Verse 47, then they took whole stones according to the law, and built a new altar according to the form.
Right, so that's so it was so destroyed and profane and swine in the place and cracked up and all that. And man, we're just gonna build a new temple. And there was some things in there that they did not know what to do, but they kept the honor of it, and they just took it down and just put it to the side. They said until a prophet came or a priest came to tell them what to do with it. Okay. So they weren't priests and prophets, they were. So, you got warriors. You got people who go to war, and they're separated. You got people who are priests. Go ahead. And prophets. Go ahead.
Verse 48, and made up the sanctuary and the things that were within the temple, and hallowed the courts. Verse 49, they made also new holy vessels, and into the temple they brought the candlestick and the altar of burnt offerings and of incense, and the table. Verse 50, and upon the altar they burned incense, and the lamps that were upon the candlestick they lighted, that they might give light in the temple. Verse 51, furthermore they set the loaves upon the table, and spread out the veils, and finished all the works which they had begun to make.
And that's that never give up attitude, where as though, the old sanctuary was destroyed, and so disgusting that the heathens that did. They said, we're just gonna build a new one. So just keep on. Anything that happened when it comes to doing the work of the Lord, anything that try to stop you from getting to camp, getting to class, or anything that's destroyed. So we just build a new one. So just build a new one. That's what the split. Actually, the split happened. Back in the 90s, early 2000s, we just built a greater ladder school. Still one West, still Commander Junior YAHANNA. But what he did was just build a new one. When the old one was destroyed. Go ahead.
Verse 52. Now on the 5 and 20th day of the 9th month, which is called the month of Kaslu, in the 148th year, they rose up betimes in the morning. 53. verse 53, and offer sacrifice according to the law upon the new altar of burnt offerings, which they had made. Verse 54, look at what time and what day the heathen had profaned it. Even in that was it dedicated with songs and cithrons and harps and cymbals. Verse 55. Then all the people fell upon their faces, worshiping and praising the God of God of heaven, who had given them good success. Verse 56. And so they kept the dedication of the altar 8 days, and offered burnt offerings with gladness, and sacrificed the sacrifice of deliverance and praise. Verse 57. They decked also the forefront of the temple with crowns of gold, with shields, and the gates and the chambers they renewed, and hanged doors upon them. Verse 58. Thus was their very great gladness among the people, for that the reproach of the heathen was put away. Verse 59. Moreover, Judas and his brethren with the whole congregation of Israel ordained that the days of the dedication of the altar should be kept in their season from year to year by the space of 8 days, from the 5 and the 20th day of the month of Caslu, with mirth and gladness. Verse 60. At that time also they builded up. SHALAM. Verse 60. At that time also they builded up the Mount Sion with high walls and strong towers round about, lest the Gentiles should come and tread it down.
Right. So they would just build a fort. You know what I'm saying? They made it stronger with high walls, lest the heathen try to come again. Go ahead.
As they had done before. Verse 61. And they set there a garrison to keep it, and fortified Bethsor to preserve it, that the people might have a defense against Idumea.
Smart. Is this one of the high holidays we celebrate now?
The dedication. Look up what is the list for the dedication? Feast of dedication.
Hanukkah is the 25th day of the 9th month.
What's the scripture on that?
Scripture is 1 Maccabees 4, 52 to 61.
Yep. Feast of dedication right on Hanukkah. Hanukkah, yep. This is Hanukkah, man. Hanukkah is right here. We read, whereas though our enemies, you know what I'm saying, the Lord made our enemies so afraid and the Lord was with us. When we fought against King Antiochus and fought against Lysias. And then we were able to, our sanctuary was destroyed, and then we got a new one. And to remember that, now we got, Hanukkah.
SHALAM.
Mm-hmm.
SHALAM. How do you spell it?
What? Hanukkah? Hanukkah is, or you put right now for Hanukkah, or it's Hanukkah is
CH.
It's with a CH. You saw spell it for the brother.
Khan. If we have it's HACHAANAKAH.
HACHAAKAH.
NAKAH.
Oh, okay.
Right.
NAKAH.
Mm-hmm.
Hanukkah. The wow.
Right, there you have it.
Just in November.
We're reading about it right now. You know what I'm saying? Make sure we keep, keep the laws and keep the memorials of our, of our holy days. All right. That was the end of chapter 4, right?
Con.
All right. We're going to close out. We're going to pass the class of peace and also the question.
Security announcements.
Come up here.
Con.
Take the mic.
Security announcements. We're the I.S.U.P.K out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commander General YAHANNA. New rules for brothers and sisters. When a new brother or sister comes to the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There is another 6 months in which a brother or sister will court each other. After this 6-month period, the brother or sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. You can find this in Numbers 18:21 and Malachi 3:8-10. Means 10th in Hebrew, and it's pronounced ma'ashra. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you, give to the treasury department or teacher. Priest fund. Free will offering for priests, not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you would like to give. Upcoming Holy Convocation. Up next, upcoming Holy Convocation is the memorial of the blowing of the trumpets. Is the first day of the 7th month, which is Monday, September 6, 2021. You can find this in Leviticus 23, 24, and 25. Remind Akim Nakwathin to check on social media such as ISUPK.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and so on for I.S.U.P.K events and materials. You have anything else to say?
No, we do the first prayer.
Con. If a brother wants to be a trooper in the school, you should start wearing all black, which includes black boots, black shirts, black pants, black headbands, a scarf, and with that stand margin, which means a stand. Wapan Yahakadam, which means turn to face the east. We're going to say the Lord's Prayer first in Hebrew. Repeat after me. Abanawa. Shabbat Shemayim. Kodash. Hayah. Shemka. Yahweh. Malakavka. Baba'ah. Ratazayaka. Hayah. Aisha. Ba'arataza. Kawa. Hayah. Bashemayim. Nathumnanawa. Lakam. Ka. Yawam. Wasalakinawa. Kabawatinawa. Kasalakinawa. Kabawatinawa. Wala'ah. Tabi'ayinawa. Manasaya 1. Abal. Pawashayinawa. Mayan. Rai. Kaya. Lakam. Hamalakwa. Wa'alam. Wa'taparith. Wa'ayamim. Aman.
In English. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done. In earth, as in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. And forgive us of our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. So be it.
Did I say sorry? Which means to turn. We want to give one courtesy salute to the teacher. Men of Israel, Imajim Shabbat, Imajim, Barak, Yahweh Hashem Yahshua Barakatah, Yashimata. Class dismissed.
I had